welcome back to another video on the JJ Think Tank. In this video, I want to talk about the truth with a capital T, about the recent history in Ukraine, Slava Ukraina, Slava Kokaina, and why Russia has many aces up her sleeve, and why Europe and Ukraine have lost this war, why the West has lost this war. You can't deny reality. Yes, all this propaganda ultimately does not work, and the truth will rise to the surface. It's a shame, really. It's a shame what's happened in Ukraine. I mean, they were duped into this war with Russia, and now we can see the consequences. It's a failed state. Everything's starting to crumble there. So much corruption. All the oligarchs are just stealing all the money. The common citizenry are becoming poorer and poorer. And it's a shame, really, because Ukraine is a beautiful country. I mean, as a Polish person, obviously Poland has a kind of difficult history with Ukraine. Yes, because our relations with Ukraine were always a bit difficult. Yes, because there's been some rivalry, I guess. We could say. I mean, there were periods of periods of time when we cooperated, and obviously Ukraine it served the Rzeczpospolita, yes, and we can think of the Cossacks, yes, and Bohdan Khmelnytsky, a famous Ukrainian hero, and he served Poland for a while, but then obviously he rejected Poland. He turned his back on Poland and joined Russia. Yes, he was a very important figure in history, Khmelnytsky. A controversial figure, but an important figure in history, an intelligent man, a charismatic man, and he is a symbol of Ukraine that should be respected and cherished, yes, as opposed to Stepan Bandera, for example, yes, because unfortunately in Ukraine there is a strain of fascism there still. A lot of Ukrainians, they still worship Stepan Bandera and others associated with him. They were basically fascist Nazis, and they committed genocide, yes, against Polish people, against ethnicity beginning with J, and they still haven't really admitted to this historical fact, and it's a problem in our relations with them, in Poland's relationship with Ukraine, yes, because I mean, for how long can you just keep on denying the truth? Yes. Eventually, this has to be resolved. Yes, Volyn, this genocide that took place against the Polish people, against the ethnicity beginning with J, in the eastern lands. Yeah, but I'm positive. I'm positive that eventually, hopefully, we can. Together with Ukraine, we can build a brilliant future. Yes. I mean, it's already taking shape in some sense. The signs are already there. So, for example, a new motorway is being built between, I believe, Warsaw and Lviv. So Lviv is a Ukrainian city at the moment, but historically, Lviv is a Polish city. I mean, even a teacher who was teaching me Russian, she was from Ukraine, and even she said this. Yes. Motorway to, I think it's to Warsaw maybe, or somewhere else. Motorway maybe then. Oh, come on, no results. It was in the news, I'm pretty sure I saw it. There we go. Linking, yes. Poland plans to finance M10 highway linking border to Lviv. I think well, this is a good move. I think. I mean, I'm not against this. There's some Polish people who criticize this. I mean, I understand if only Polish people are paying for it, then yes, that's I don't know if that's good, but yes. So I mean, obviously, we have to arrange our relationship with Ukraine so that it becomes more harmonious. Yes, but at the same time, Ukraine has to also show a bit more from her side. Yes, they have to, start showing some progress when it comes to the Volyn issue. Yes, and the genocide that took place in Volyn. Yes. But anyway, I want to stop talking about Ukrainian-Polish relations and talk more about the recent history in Ukraine. Yes, and why it has lost this war. Ukraine has lost this war against Russia. Why Russia really she did not commit her main army. She did not commit a lot of weapons. You could say yes. She didn't use any of her more advanced weapons. Russia hasn't had to resort to mass mobilization. Russia's aims at the start of the war, or the special operation, whatever you want to call it, the invasion, yes. It wasn't to destroy Ukraine, yes. This was never Russia's plan. If Russia wanted to, she could have used like small localized, nuclear weapons or other missiles to completely destroy a country, yes, just to destroy all the cities, etc. But no, Russia was methodical in her approach and targeted really only logistical supplies, kind of military bases, etc. Perhaps sources of energy production, in order to kind of destabilize the Ukrainian state and to make it more not lenient, but make her basically, make her come to the negotiating table. Oh, that's how we could say that's how I could, or we could present the issue here. Yes, and there were many attempts at negotiating a peace arrangement, most notably in 2022. So apparently, I heard about this from the Duran, and the Duran is a great YouTube channel that you can watch. It's run by two Greek men who talk about geopolitics and provide an accurate picture of the state of affairs. They provide a good analysis of geopolitics, international relations, and they debunk all of these lies, yes, that the West spreads. And yes, they said that in 2022, Ukraine was about to sign a peace arrangement with Russia. I think a long-lasting peace arrangement. But in Istanbul, but Boris Johnson blocked this in the end. And I mean, if this is true, then Boris Johnson he's an evil man. He really is an evil man. And something has to be done with this guy, with Boris Johnson. I mean, a lot of English people hate Boris Johnson now as well because of the Boris wave, yes. So, Boris Johnson, he needs to watch out. So anyway, I want to go into my article now and cover some more bits of information that I may have missed out. And this is this is a brilliant quote by Sun Tzu, a brilliant aphorism or a brilliant thought. Yes, and he famously said, "An evil man will burn his own nation to the ground to rule over the ashes." And this perfectly describes Volodymyr Zelensky. He is an evil man. Look what he has done to Ukraine for his own power-hungry aims. This Zelensky guy is another evil man. Sometimes you hear this talk in the West that Zelensky is the new Churchill. It's it's bonkers. Firstly, Churchill hardly wasn't a great man either. And secondly, I mean, Zelensky, he's just an evil man, yes? Simple as that. And there's so much misinformation when it comes to this war in Ukraine. People just watch, I don't know, Sky News, BBC News. This is where they get their information from, yes? So they have such a distorted view of the war, why the war actually took place, why Russia was actually very patient. Because the civil war has been going on there for a while. I mean, I think it began like in 2010 even. I remember as a child, as a teenager, watching football matches, and sometimes there was news on TV about a civil war in the Donbass. I remember. I apologize. Yes, so yes, there's a lot of misinformation. So I want to unpack this issue further in order to expose this misinformation. Yes, so let's talk about the reason why Russia intervened in the first place. Yes, so even before these Minsk agreements in 2015-14, there was a civil war. Yes, in the east. And the eastern part of Ukraine, it's definitely more Russian. Yes, it's more Russified. And a lot of the people there, they have an affinity for Russia. Yes, they want to belong to the Russian state, perhaps. But I guess they didn't really mind being part of the Ukrainian state as long as they were treated fairly. Yes, but the problem was this, that in the West, in Ukraine, you have a lot of these crazy nationalists. Yes, these fascists. They still worship kind of Hitler. They still worship Nazism. They still worship this Stepan Bandera guy, this monster. I mean, Stepan Bandera was a bit of a monster. Let's be honest. And yes, well, they were funded by the CIA. Yes, and they were armed, and they instigated this war in the East. Yes, this civil war. I guess eventually this led to these Minsk agreements, which were meant to provide a lasting peace. I guess in general, I think these agreements were meant to create a situation for Ukraine where she would eventually become kind of a landmass, yes, linking East and West. And I believe this is what Yanukovych wanted. So Yanukovych, I included a quote by Viktor Yanukovych at the end. But I think he was correct here, yes? He wanted this balanced policy, which will protect our national interests, both on our eastern border, I mean with Russia, and of course with the European Union. And it's a shame that he was ousted and forced to flee. Because in the long term, if he remained in power, Ukraine would be in a much better situation now. But it performed the wrong action, basically. It performed the wrong policy, and now we can see the aftermath. Yes, it's a shame, really. And once again, it's the West causing the problems. Let's be honest, it's the West again, initiating all these wars, initiating all this chaos, and it's just sad, really, because I met a lot of Ukrainians here in Poznan, in Poland. I get on with a lot of them, and I met a few Ukrainians online as well, and yeah, we share many cultural codes. Yes, both Slavic nations. Uh, I actually noticed that a lot of the Ukrainian women here who work, they'd actually speak Polish better than other people. Yes, and even Polish people. They bring a kind of Slavic touch to the Polish language. This is what I noticed, and it's a shame, really. I mean, hopefully the war can finally end. Hopefully the war will come to an end. It seems that finally it will, because Putin is coming to an agreement with Trump about this. So so that's good. Yes, but anyway, moving on. Another important point I want to make is that Putin was very patient. He waited a long time to intervene. Yes, militarily. Because when did the war start? In 2022, I believe. Yes, or something like this. 2022. So the civil war began there at least in 2010, I believe, maybe even earlier. So you waited 12 years, yes, to intervene. And I guess it's because Ukraine and Russia, they have a lot in common when it comes to their culture, their history. We could argue that Russia actually came from Kiev, because Moscow. I believe Moscow didn't exist before Kiev. Kiev was founded before Moscow, yes, and before these other cities that popped up in Russia. So Russia, in many respects, is I don't know. Ukraine is the birthplace of Russia in many respects. Yes. Then you've got a lot of writers who are kind of Ukrainian and Russian. So, for example, Nikolai Gogol, is a famous writer who had Ukrainian blood, a lot of Ukrainian blood. So I guess Russia was careful, yes, in her approach to Ukraine. The West is always kind of distorting the history, the truth, trying to paint Russia as the aggressor and trying to destroy Ukraine or completely deny her sovereignty. I mean, I don't think this is true. Of course, Ukraine is important to Russia because for example, when we think back to the past, we had the Crimean War. Yes, so Russia has always had this obsession about having access to the Black Sea, because usually it was the case that Russia didn't have access to the sea because the winter season was so long that all of her harbors, yes, all of her ports were iced up, whereas the Black Sea was always there was trade could take place there all year round. So I guess this was why Russia was always obsessed about the Black Sea. But even then, in the Crimea, a lot of people there identify with the Russian state, with Russian culture. So it's like with anything, the issue isn't so clear cut. Yes. Anyway, moving on. So I mentioned Yanukovych. He tried to build and develop Ukraine in such a way that it would be like this non-aligned bridge, yes, like a neutral state in between East and West. But unfortunately, I don't know, the Ukrainians perhaps they didn't trust him. They thought he was corrupt, or I reckon. I don't know the history exactly because I wasn't interested in politics back then. I don't know exactly what happened, but I reckon a lot of these operations in Ukraine, they were definitely funded by America, by the CIA, because America is known for funding, and undertaking all these regime changes across the world. Yes, so I'm sure there was a concerted effort to paint a picture of Yanukovych as being corrupt, as being immoral, etc. When in fact he actually probably wanted the best for the country. Yes, and the Ukrainians were convinced, yes, by propaganda, that they would be better off, joining the EU. and becoming this battering ram against Russia. And now we have to look back and think, has it paid off? Doesn't seem so to me. A lot of the people there, a lot of the common citizens there are suffering. A lot of men have lost their lives. Nothing, no, there's failed state. There's a lot of corruption there. This guy Zelensky, this evil man Zelensky, is still there in charge. And it's a shame, really. So let's talk now more about Russia and why it has a lot of aces up her sleeve. Yes, because again, there's a lot of propaganda in the West that Russia is weak, that is weak militarily, that it can be defeated easily, etc. It's the same kind of process occurring like before. Yes, like before in history. So, what are the aces that she has? Yes, or that Russia has. So she's got this Oreshnik. Yes, this weapon called Oreshnik that apparently cannot be intercepted. It's got another weapon called Poseidon. It's like an underwater nuclear missile that can cause a massive tsunami. And apparently Russia. Well, I saw that on the news. Some guy on Russian TV saying that it might be used against the UK to sink the UK underwater. Oh my gosh. Imagine if that happened. That's crazy. EMP weapons, electromagnetic pulse weapons, other kind of local nuclear weapons, like not massive ones. It's not massive nuclear warheads. So it's clear that Russia has a lot of advanced weaponry. Yes. It's got a fairly large population. And looking back at history, we can see that Russia's never really been defeated. Napoleon tried to defeat Russia. Hitler tried to. It's not possible. It's not possible. There's no point really. It's better just to let Russia develop. Let her develop on her own terms. Really, let her become let her become as strong as possible. Let her develop economically, because then a middle class can arise, a stronger middle class that can actually carry out real democratic reform. Yes. So otherwise, this won't take place. And I guess when we come to the actual war itself, the recent war in Ukraine, Russia's intention wasn't to destroy the Ukrainian state completely and to just attack the citizens, to kill many citizens, because the civilian casualties in Ukraine are actually quite low. It's like 10,000, something like this, 20,000, 15,000. It's not high. Yes. Obviously, when a war takes place, there's always going to be some civilian casualties. Yes, you can't avoid this. But Russia never targeted civilians directly. Yes, so again, this is another lie that the West spreads. And as I mentioned previously, Russia committed its reservists and old military equipment in dealing with the country in general. Obviously, you had some mercenaries as well, Wagner Group, and there was a power struggle going on there, I guess. So yes, I mean sometimes perhaps Russia is struggling slightly, maybe, but in general, how many times have we heard in the last 5 years that Russia's economy is about to collapse? I mean, I think I've heard this like 50 times already, 100 times from different analysts. It hasn't happened yet, has it? Russia pivoted to the east, which is why it's managed to survive economically. Yes. So yes, I think that's all. That's all really that I wanted to say when it comes to this topic. I think the best deal for all parties is just to come to the bloody diplomatic table, man. Just to start speaking. I mean, it's what we common citizens want. We want just peace for life. So it'll it'll improve the economies of the West as well, because the West, they need this cheap energy from Russia, these cheap resources, etc. And it would be beneficial for all parties. So hopefully this changes soon. Yes. But anyway, that's the end of my video for today. I covered everything I wanted to. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing and liking my video. It will help me grow the channel and spread more vital information. If you like the video even more, consider donating at Buy Me a Coffee. I'll provide the link in the description. But yes, thank you for listening. If you made it this far, I appreciate it a lot. Thank you for spending your time here on the JJ Think Tank. And yes, I wish you all the best and take care.